Hi, and welcome to Bariloche. This city is officially called the San Carlos de Bariloche, and it is one of the most iconic destinations in all of the Patagonia in Argentina, and it's also going to be a place that looks something like the Swiss Alps. It is located on the shores of the lake Nahuel Huapi, and it's surrounded by mountains, forests, and lakes that are going to be part of this national park called Nahuel Huapi, and this was actually the first national park created in all of Argentina. Bariloche has a very interesting history because the name comes from the Mapuche word Buriloche, which means people from the other side of the mountain. This city was officially founded in 1902, but before that, it had been a key trading point. In mid-20th century, Bariloche established itself as a tourist center, partly thanks to the construction of the hotel Llao Llao, which I'm going to be talking a little bit more about later, but basically it's an icon of luxury in the entire region. Another interesting fact is that in the 1940s and 50s, Bariloche became an elite tourist destination in Argentina thanks to the creation of the national park that I was saying, Nahuel Huapi, which started promoting also skiing as a sport. And since then, it has become one of the most visited destinations on the entire country in the entire country, both by domestic and international tourists. And one last interesting fact about Bariloche is that its popular name is the Swiss Argentina, because this is not only going to be of the beautiful landscapes of lakes and mountains that are surrounding, but of the great influence of European immigrants, especially Swiss and Germans, who started settling in this area and they brought with them their architecture, their traditions, and of course, their passion for chocolate and for beer. Because, yes, Bariloche is also going to be a very important gastronomical city, and especially it's considered the chocolate capital of Argentina. In the streets, you're going to find dozens of artisan chocolate shops that are going to be part of this local identity, and also giant stores that are the icons of the chocolate in this country, and they are going to be Rapa Nui and Mamushka. In addition to this culture of cuisine, Bariloche is also going to be a destination that will change radically depending on the time of the year. Because during the summer, it becomes a paradise for everyone that wants to do hiking, kayaking, fishing. But during the winter, this one, unlike El Chalten, is not going to be a destination you shouldn't visit because Bariloche is probably the most important ski resort in all of South America thanks to the huge Cerro Catedral. This makes it a place that you can visit at any time of the year and you're always going to find something different to do. So, before I go into the must see places, I want to give you some logistical tips on how you can plan your trip around Bariloche. And the first one is, how do you get there? Most travelers are just going to arrive there by plane. This was my experience. And also, the airport is going to be very close to the city center. There are going to be many daily flights, so you will have a lot of options. Now, if you're on a budget and you're looking to get there by bus, I do have to warn you that getting there from the capital or even from El Calafate is going to be a very long journey. Most of the times, the bus routes are going to be around 20 hours or even more. So it's usually not going to be a very popular option unless you really want to do a road trip and travel around the famous Ruta 40 or Highway 40 that I was discussing in one of my previous episodes. Then, if you're driving around this highway, of course, you should drive a car and just make different stops throughout the way because this is one of the most scenic routes in all of Argentina and I should say also in all of South America. The second tip is, how long should you stay in Bariloche? Personally, I believe that Bariloche deserves at least 3 or 4 days to explore all of the famous lakes, hills, and trails. And although the city itself is going to be relatively small, there are going to be several trips that you can take from the city. So it's going to be worth spending at least 3 days to fully uncover everything that Bariloche has to offer. Now, for the weather, Bariloche is going to have very distinct seasons. During the summer, temperatures are going to range from 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, which will be ideal for hiking and outdoor activities. But during the winter, temperatures can drop to zero or even several degrees below zero, which is going to be also the perfect weather for skiing at Cerro Catedral. During the fall and spring, you will find fewer tourists and landscapes will have a lot of different colors of fall or some flowers during the spring. So these are also going to be times that are recommended for visiting. So regarding weather, just think of normal seasons and just plan on visiting whichever you prefer. And finally, keep in mind that Bariloche is going to be one of the most visited destinations in all of Argentina, both by foreigners and by locals. So, if you plan to travel during the high season or peak season, which will mean July for skiing or January for summer trekking, it is going to be best to book everything in advance. But now that you already know all of this, let's get straight into the city. What are going to be some of the must see places in the capital of chocolate? Well, let's start in the Civic Center, which is going to be the heart of Bariloche. It was inaugurated in 1940, and its stone and wood construction gave it the alpine style that will characterize all of the city today. Here you're going to find the Patagonia Museum, where you can learn about the natural and cultural history of this region from the indigenous people to the arrival of the European immigrants. Also, in the Civic Center, you'll find a symbol of local identity because this is one of the most photographed places in Bariloche. And one thing that I like to point out for most tourists is that you should also look at the floor because the floor is going to be covered with different white scarves, or so it seems. But so these scarves are going to belong to what is called the mothers and grandmothers of Argentina. And basically, they are a symbol of the search for truth and justice, and they were originally used by all of these mothers that were trying to do protests during the Argentine military dictatorship. And they also later served as a sign of identity, but they represented kind of the diapers of all of the disappeared children. This later became a global emblem of this resistance against the dictatorship and dignity, the fight for human rights. And every year, the mothers of those who disappeared during the dictatorship still meet and gather in the square, which is something very interesting that I heard by the locals. I couldn't see it myself, but it's one of those things that I got to learn by speaking with some locals. From there, you can walk a few steps and reach to the Nahuel Huapi Lake waterfront. And this lake is going to be so large that it looks like a sea surrounded by mountains. In fact, its name, Imapadungum, means the island of the jaguar and is going to be one of the most important lakes in Patagonia. Along this waterfront, you're going to find many different viewpoints, also benches to sit and enjoy the view. And if you're lucky, you'll be able to see an incredible sunset with the snow-capped mountains in the background. If you keep walking along this waterfront, you're also going to reach the Cathedral Church of Our Lady of Nahuel Huapi. Very long name, but this monumental building was completed in 1947 by the architect Alejandro Bustillo. It has a neo-Gothic style, very large walls, and an enormous decorated dome, which is going to surprise all of the visitors, especially also if you go in the inside, because it will have incredible stained glass windows. If you then walk from this cathedral to Mitre Street, this is going to be one of the main arteries of Bariloche, and it's going to be a place that's especially popular for being the epicenter of the city's commercial and tourist life. Much of the street is going to be pedestrian, making it ideal for walking and exploring without worrying about the traffic or cars. And over here, you'll find a variety of souvenir shops, clothing shops for either trekking or skiing, restaurants, tourist agencies, whatever you want. During the day, the street is going to be crowded with people, and during the night, bars and restaurants are also going to be opening up and filling this with a very nice atmosphere. But of course, the most important thing about this street are going to be the chocolate shops. Because, as I said before, it would be impossible to talk about Bariloche without mentioning chocolate. Chocolate arrived in Bariloche with European immigrants, especially Swiss, that over time started embedding all of this chocolate culture into the identity of Bariloche. And every Easter, Bariloche is going to celebrate the chocolate festival where they're going to prepare giant sculptures and they're going to hand out Easter eggs in the city center. Rapa Nui and Mamushka are going to be the two most famous chocolate stores, and although there are many more, these two are very delicious. And there's going to kind of exist a rivalry between both of them. So when you go, you can either try asking locals, but you have a lot of mixed opinions because everyone, of course, has their own particular taste in chocolate. So my advice is try both of them and let me know which one is your favorite. After trying both, I would have to go for Rapa Nui. I love their chocolate bars, especially they have a type of bar that's called chocolate in a branch or chocolate en rama. But especially, I have to highlight the pistachio chocolate bar. This is probably the most delicious chocolate that I've ever eaten. And if you like pistachio, this will for sure beat all of the Dubai chocolate or other chocolate brands, hands down. I even crave it just thinking about it while recording this episode, so please try the chocolate. But the other thing that fascinated me about both of the stores was their ice cream. And so I think that you should also be trying out their ice cream because chocolate, at least you can buy it and take it home, but ice cream you cannot. So both of the stores are going to have incredible ice cream flavors. They're going to be outstanding, and they'll also even have ice cream flavors that are related to their chocolate. So one of the brands also has a chocolate en rama or the branch chocolate ice cream flavor. So try it out and let me know what you think. But these two stores are going to be two that you cannot miss. And well, after you finish walking all of this entire meter street, you're going to get back to the Civic Center. So basically, you will have covered the entire center of Bariloche on foot. But for the next day, then you could start by visiting another of the city's must-see attractions that is going to be called Cerro Otto or Otto Hill. This is going to be just a few minutes drive from the center, and you can take the cable car to the top and visit this revolving cafe, which will offer a 360-degree panoramic view of the lake and the mountains. This hill is not only going to be famous because it has a viewpoint, but also because it was the home to the foundation of Italian artist Lorenzo Piccoli, who donated some of the plaster replicas of sculptures such as Michelangelo's David. And this is going to be a place that will combine nature, art, and gastronomy also in this revolving cafe. But speaking of views, there is going to be another place that is considered one of the best viewpoints in the world, Cerro Campanario or Campanario Hill. National Geographic actually included this hill in its list of the most impressive landscapes on the planet, because when you get to the top, you'll be able to see Nahuel Huapi and Moreno Lakes, the San Pedro Peninsula, the Llao Llao Peninsula, and the Andes Mountains, all of it in the background. The climb is going to be short. You can either do it by chairlift or you can walk for around 30 minutes, but this was definitely one of my favorite views of the trip. Very little effort, so 10 out of 10, recommended for everyone. And after visiting these two hills, my recommendation would be to do the Bariloche Small Circuit, which is going to be a 60-kilometer route along the Nahuel Huapi. Here, this is usually given by different agencies, so you can just find one in the Civic Center, but you're going to be exploring some of the most iconic landscapes in the region. One of the stops that most places include is going to be. Y después de visitar estos dos cerros, mi recomendación sería que empezaras a hacer alguno de los circuitos recomendados en Bariloche. Está el circuito largo o está el circuito chico de Bariloche. Yo personalmente tomé el circuito chico, que son unos 60 kilómetros bordeando el lago Nahuel Huapi, y aquí puedes descubrir varios paisajes que son también icónicos de la región. Una parada, por ejemplo, que la mayoría de los tours hacen es en la Swiss colony called Colonia Suiza, which is a small village founded in the late 19th century by Swiss immigrants. It is going to be famous for the craft fair and also because over here they are giving curanto, which is a traditional dish that was cooked underground with hot stones, meat, potatoes, and vegetables. And it's basically a tradition that they brought from Chile but is still preserved today. Another cool point of interest in the short trail or Circuito Chico will be the Punto Panorámico or panoramic viewpoint. Here, as the name says it, you're going to enjoy very beautiful views of the Llao Llao Peninsula, and you're also going to find the Hotel Llao Llao, which is going to be an icon of Patagonian architecture, and it is considered one of the most luxurious hotels in all of Argentina. This architecture is going to be built in stones and cypress wood. It will blend perfectly with the surroundings of this mountain landscape, giving it a very distinctive Patagonian style that makes you think that you just got to Switzerland. The Llao Llao Hotel was designed by Alejandro Bustillo and it opened in 1938, but a fire destroyed it in 1939. So it was rebuilt and it was reopened in 1940. Its construction was a state project to assess national sovereignty in Patagonia, taking advantage of the area's tourism potential, and also because they wanted to kind of sell Patagonia to all of the Europeans. If you remember, Argentina was booming back then. So This country was trying to call up these Europeans, kind of showing them that this was also like the Alps. They could enjoy food here. They could enjoy the mountains here. They would have same architecture, same culture of beer, same culture of chocolates. So they were inviting all of these Europeans to move here. And this area started getting crowded with European immigrants who adapted quite well to this region. An interesting fact is that the name Llao Llao of this hotel is going to come from a parasitic fungi that grows on Nire and Coihue trees, which you are going to be able to see if you go to Llao Llao Municipal Park. This is going to be a protected area that has some very easy trails, and you can walk through the forest of Coihue and cypress trees, and you can do hikes that can be either 1 hour or 3 hours long and enjoy all of these natural surroundings without even having to be very far away from the city. So, this is going to be one of the places that I recommend for feeling the beauty of Patagonia. During my trip, I also visited Playa Bonita, which is going to be only 5 miles from downtown. It is the closest beach and one of the most popular ones, and here you can enjoy all of the different water sports like kayaking, diving, and stand up paddling. But I have to warn you, the water is going to be cold. On summer days, you might see some people swimming on the lake. I could only walk up to the water and have it touch my knees, but that was already very cold for me. So I didn't swim over here. But the last thing that I can't fail to mention is Cerro Catedral, which is going to be the largest ski resort in all of South America. This resort will only be 20 kilometers from Bariloche, and it will get its name because of the shape of its rocky towers, which is going to resemble a little bit like a Gothic cathedral. During the winter, this is going to be the epicenter of skiing and snowboarding, and during the summer, it will become an ideal place for trekking and mountain biking. And the last thing that I was visiting during my short circuit was good food and craft beer, because Bariloche is also going to be famous for its breweries. As I was telling you, all of this brewing tradition was deeply rooted in the city because of this European heritage that it had, and especially because it had a lot of German and Swiss immigrants that were settling here. They brought with them the architectural styles, but also their expertise in brewing beer. And over the years, this tradition has evolved, and local breweries became an important part of the city's identity and economy. So today, you can visit a craft brewery, and this probably is considered one of the must do experiences. Just make sure that you're actually going to a local one. Don't get fooled into, for example, visiting Patagonia beer, because even though this beer sounds like it's local and it's going to be like from a local brewery, this isn't very artisanal. This is a big company that's already producing this. So, of course, if you can find a tiny place that's just producing its own local beer, probably in their same restaurant, this is going to be way more authentic. But either way, whichever you find is going to probably be very good. And even if you want to visit the Patagonia brewery place, this is also going to be worth it. So as you can see, Bariloche is going to have everything you need to enjoy yourself without having to travel very far. So history, culture, nature, viewpoints, very good food, and even beaches. So this is going to be a city that will combine the best of Patagonia with a very distinctive European feel, which will invite you to stay probably longer than you had expected. Let me know in the comments if you've already visited Bariloche and what advice you can give to travelers, or share this episode with someone else that you'd like to travel to Bariloche with. Also, subscribe and give me a review because this is going to help me tremendously. And stay tuned because next week I'm going to keep exploring this incredible country. Enjoy your trip.